Hello, and welcome to Retention Chronicles, the customer retention podcast for e-commerce marketers. I am your host and fellow e-com marketer, Mariah Parsons. Tune in as I speak with D2C founders and operators about strategy that works and strategy that doesn't. Of course, we are able to have these conversations because of our podcast sponsor, Malomo. I have seen thousands of brand operators power their order tracking with Malomo to make every single message count. As a consumer, I personally have come to expect that brands have a phenomenal post-purchase experience, or else I'm not really shopping with them again. And a lot of consumers are this way. 84% of shoppers won't return if they have a bad shipping experience. And it feels so important for e-commerce brands to have a good pre-purchase experience. You're trying to get that acquisition. Your customers are coming through the door. They're coming through your website. It is a very personalized experience. You have pop-ups that are timed well. You have customer testimonials that are easing fears. You have well-timed cart abandonment emails, all of that stuff. And then you purchase with a brand, and sometimes there's no communication, and it leaves you wondering, it leaves you mad, maybe scared that you fell for a scam or something like that. And so I think it is such a smart decision to have your transactional shipping emails and SMS not just be about only business. Malomo helps turn them into a powerful marketing tool. What does that look like? It means you can cross-sell other products on that branded order tracking page. You can put educational content on that page. So if you have something that consumers will have to learn how to use for the first time, you can put that there. If you have recipes that they could, use your product for when they first get it, you can put that there. Your social media, everything, frequently asked questions, whatever you want, you get the control back so that you're not sending your customers to a carrier tracking page. You're putting them right back on your website, and you're also keeping them informed about their order status while you do it. That's the beautiful thing about this platform. If you're ready to turn your order notifications into a marketing channel and join thousands of e-commerce brand operators in making their customers happier while also adding to your brand's profits, visit gomalomo.com. That's GOMALOMO.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Retention Chronicles. I am so excited for our guest here today, Gloria Chou. I am so thrilled. You and I have been connected over social media, which is always a fun way for me to get to meet new people. For our audience, Gloria is a product PR coach and host of a small business podcast, which she will tell us more about now. So Gloria, thank you. Welcome. And thank you for joining the show. I'm so excited for having you here today.
Yay, I'm so excited. I feel like for so many product owners, PR is not something that has ever been made accessible or easy for them. So today we're going to demystify a lot of things about what PR is, what PR isn't, and really give you actionable ways that you can get featured right now, even with a tiny following, on places like BuzzFeed and Forbes and even Oprah's Favorite Things. So I'm excited to dive into it.
I love it. I love it. I think just that boilerplate alone for this episode, we have hooked people. So before we dive into strategy and all that fun stuff, tell us a little bit about, yourself. How did you get to sitting in this seat today? What made you want to kind of dive into, the CPG e-commerce world?
Yeah. So, I was a small business PR coach, but I'm very untraditional. I'm not your typical PR gal. I've never actually worked a day in my life in any PR agency or marketing agency. I had to cold call literally by typing in the Google search bar, newsroom, New York Times, and calling with shaky, sweaty palms until I got, phone slammed in my face. And I started to pick up on patterns on when that person would stay on the phone with me. I ended up getting my clients on all the TV shows now combined over, 1 billion organic views, all the top media outlets without any connections or pay to play. And I always say, it's really just about cracking the code on PR and making it finally accessible, because it is such a gate-kept industry. When we think about PR, we think of, celebrity or publicist, and it's got this kind of scammy vibe, or maybe something that, only luxury items, luxury stores can have. And it's absolutely not true. I think that it's time for the rest of us, especially the small businesses, to be seen. And from what I've learned helping thousands of product owners is that journalists want to hear from you, the founder. And if we can make it super easy for you to feel confident to just pitch yourselves, you can get featured every single month of the year, even every week. So it's about thinking about yourself differently, not thinking, oh, well, I'm not newsworthy enough, or my product is not newsworthy enough. I promise you, there's no such thing as a newsworthy product, but there is such a thing as a relevant pitch. And so throughout this conversation, we're going to teach you how to not think in terms of pitching your benefits and features and more pitching with the news cycle.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I think our audience is going to eat this up. So let's kind of start to break down that code. Like, say, brands, walk us through of like, because you said there's no like, XYZ template of like, you have to have this many followers, you have to have this like something going viral to kind of quote unquote like allow you to get these PR opportunities. You can make them happen for yourself. So kind of like walk us through in a timeline, if you can, of like how a brand would even think about approaching trying to get more PR.
Yeah. So, PR is, I think, the highest leverage activity. You get the highest ROI for what you're doing because, as we know, Instagram is now showing your stuff to what, 15% of your audience. And the buying intent of someone on Instagram is very low, right? So if you are on an article like on Refinery 29 or a real simple like 10 best outdoor XYZ or gifts for mom, if I'm clicking on the article, the buying intent is really high. So at the same time, you are meeting your customers exactly where they are, but you're also getting that valuable SEO gold because you're getting those backlinks. So it simultaneously, checks all the buckets of the traffic, the SEO, the credibility, and sales. So let's talk about what PR is. And PR is getting featured organically, right? I'm not talking about those pay to play scammy things that we get in our DMs all the time. Oh, I'll feature you in a, cable television thing, with a C-list actor that's going to play at 4 a.m. No one's going to watch. Not pay to play. I'm talking about organic. So not pay to play. And PR is really simple at the end of the day. It's writing a relevant pitch and sending it to the right person. And if you can put the two and two together, you can create a system in your business, just like you are with social media and everything, where you're constantly pitching all year round and getting those features and getting those sales and SEO. So let's talk about the first part of PR, which is writing a pitch. And a lot of times, this is an unnatural act. We're not taught how to write a pitch. We're taught how to be great marketers, right? Talk about benefits and features. But if the more you lean in with that, the less likely you're going to get featured because journalists aren't your customers. The journalist is not going to buy from you. And so you need to figure out what is the right way to speak to them that's relevant for their audience. So instead of benefits and features, think about what is the season that we're in out of all your product suite. What's best for Mother's Day it might be different for what's best for Q4. If you make skin stuff or body lotions, it's not going to be something really heavy for the summer. It's going to be light and citrus. If you're in food and wine, think about the ingredients that are trending for where we are right now. Right now it's spring. So, there's so many different themes. If you make print on demand, right, there's a lot of different gifts for graduation versus bridal. So think in terms of that, in terms of seasons, in terms of holidays, in terms of the weather, in terms of trends. We have people who make bridal stuff. And I know that Sophia Richie's modern minimalism bride look was really trending. And so you can pitch something along the lines of that. Also pay attention to social media trends. I know that there's a lot on TikTok right now. So like, what is a trend that you can piggyback on? All of those things that can help you start to figure out, what am I pitching? Because you're not pitching your entire product suite. You're not going to just shove your brochure down the journalist's throat. You're going to pick the one or two or the bundle item that's perfect for that season. And even if you make one item, you can repurpose it for various seasons, but you need to lead with that season. So that's really what the pitch is. And from pitching thousands of times, I picked up on a formula and I call it my CPR framework that has helped thousands of founders get featured without ever knowing the journalist and having a tiny following. So C stands for credibility, P stands for point of view, and R stands for relevance. And the way that the email pitch looks, if you're writing to cold pitch anyone, the subject line should not be your name, your company name, or the word pitch, or something very gimmicky like a code for you, Claire, or something like that. It should be something like samples available, 3 best skin bundles for Mother's Day under $30. You see how that is very specific, right? It tells the journalist exactly what it is and what bucket of gift guide it will be for. Because there's various gift guides. There's luxury gift guides, there's stocking stuffers. So be very specific about what that is. And then in the email, you don't want to get into pleasantries and waste the journalist's time. You want to quickly get to the point. So what is that relevance, that R in CPR? You can say, as people are looking for X, Y, Z gifts, or as your beauty readers are looking for the best new minimalist skin serums, I would love to tell you why our bundle is perfect for this season. And then the point of view in CPR looks like 3 bullet points. I like 3s. So it could be 3 reasons why it works, 3 reasons why it's different. It could be insights. It could be 3, so it could be like 1, our skincare serum is different because XYZ. We give back 10% to charity. 3, all of our ingredients are sourced. You see where I'm getting at? And then
I love it. Yeah.
You wrap the email up with a little bit about credibility about, I founded this in my kitchen with my daughter who suffered from severe eczema. Nothing worked. And, this formula really worked because I talked to my acupuncturist and this burdock root, like whatever that is. Don't go crazy about it. Don't go into a crazy long thing. You can always hyperlink to your story, but just give them enough, but not too much. And then you want to put the price point. So how much it is. Is it available on your website? Is it available on Amazon, on Macy's, right? Is it available for shipping? Is it made to order? All the kind of nuts and bolts of what the journalist needs to decide if it's going to work for them. So again, pricing, shipping, are samples available? Where it's available? Is it ready to ship? And then also if you do have an affiliate link, like on Shareasale or Skim Links, or I know that like Etsy and Amazon have their own, put that in there. And that there you have it. That's really kind of the what makes a good pitch. And you can put 1 to 3 low res images if you have something that's visual, right? Packaging is really important in skincare, for example. And so put that in there, but don't make it super high res and don't attach all these things. Instead, use the hyperlink. And so that's the basic gist of a golden pitch, my CPR pitch method.
Okay, I love that. There's so much there to dive into. And I love that you break it out, right? Of like, okay, just follow this formula and don't get like into the nitty-gritty of trying to be personable and driving a connection. Because I think that's one of the things that obviously a lot of founders want to make that impression. They got into the business because they really believe in their, in their product. And I think that can be hard sometimes for founders to hear of like, just frame it as like, what will that journalist care about the most? And I feel like that formula is super clean of just like, okay, this is the, I guess, table stakes information that you need to send so that they can like go through their checklist and be like, okay, we could do this. Like, we need more info about this, or we could do that, or blah, blah, blah.
If you have time to do your research, right? Of course, the more personalization, the better. If you can say, I loved your best skincare roundup and well and good. I thought it was so good that I bought this item and it cleared up my acne. Like that is a level of personalization that's only going to help you. Mm-hmm. But if you don't have time to personalize every single email, that's kind of the basic foundation. But of course, you should check the journalist info and like at least give them a compliment or try to engage with their content. So that's email, right? But I also recommend you follow up with them in DMs too, because they're also writers. So share their articles, tag them, make them recognize your name and your brand and increase those touch points because it is a relationship that you're building.
Yeah. And I love that point too, because a lot, and I see this like on social media, anyone who's trying to grow their own following, it's like, I'm posting a lot and I'm just not getting like any engagement on my end. And I feel like the first thing that founders and people who are trying to grow their following should look at is like, are you engaging with those people on like who you follow, who then would, hopefully reciprocate and see your brand name and be like, oh, wait, what are they doing in the space? Like, right. Like, I think there's a lot of value. And sometimes we think it's obviously because we're humans and we think about ourselves and like what we're trying to do with our profiles of post a lot and engage on your own content, but there's a lot to be said of going and engaging on other people's comments who you'd love to, connect with and have that like interaction with. And I think that is exactly the same avenue of like, I've never thought about going to engage with a journalist's page and like reposting their stuff and trying to be interactive in that way. So that's a great point. And would you say like for journalists who are really contemplating like, okay, this is why, this person pitched me in this email with XYZ and this person pitched me in this email with XYZ. Would you say that like your formula covers the, I guess, like bare bones of what a journalist needs? And like, do you have any, I guess, idea of like how they rank different things in their mind of like, this is absolutely what we need versus like, this is secondary, or is it really different for every journalist?
The CPR method covers the stakes, and obviously you want to be personalizable. So you want to show them that you've actually read their article. So that's actually an even better way to pitch. Now, we don't have eyes into their exact editorial calendar, but we know that every year there are certain gift guides that will always be there, right? Gifts for her, gifts for him, Valentine's Day, you have pet gifts, you have Mother's Day gifts, Father's Day gifts, Earth Day gifts, sustainable gifts. So those are usually the buckets. And you can actually use a tool like perplexity.ai, which is, better than Google. And you can ask it, like, what are the, yearly evergreen gift guides that Real Simple writes or Well and Good or whatever. And then if they don't write a gift guide that's under $100 and you make something that is under $100, that's not the right magazine for you, right? For example, we have a lot of people doing home decor. So like candles, incense, and they want to get on apartment therapy. And so if they make something that's very luxury, like a pashmina wool blanket that's $500, and if you put into Perplexity, does apartment therapy make, luxury gift cards and they don't, then you know not to pitch to apartment therapy. I'm just giving you an example, right? So these are all the tools.
These are great.
Yeah, I'll give you some other tools. So another thing you should do is install a Google News Alert. It's free. You just type in your search bar Google News Alert, and it'll ping you with all the different articles about your industry. And the reason why it's good is because it trains you into thinking already about what types of gift guides and shopping guides are already available. And then you can open that article up. You can copy and paste a journalist's name, and their emails are usually there. It's public information, and you can, literally create your own ever expanding media database. Now, obviously, I have that in my program for our members, but you can start to create that by yourself. Because here's the thing, right? What's PR is writing a good pitch. And I told you how to do that with the CPR method. Now let's talk about who to send it to. And it's not going to be editor at, NewYorkTimes.com. It's not going to be info at BuzzFeed. It's going to be that very specific commerce or shopping editor or writers. People who cover commerce or shopping are in the business of writing about products and reviewing them. And so if you make a product and you want to be in those listicles and gift guides, reach out to those people. And also people who cover your other industry. So if you're in wellness, right, you can also reach out to the wellness writer too. So it's going to be both the writer that does commerce and shopping, but then also like the overall wellness journalist. So those are the people you want to look for in terms of when you're wondering who to send that email to.
Yeah, that's great. And would you say like, okay, now this is getting into the nitty gritty, but like sending different emails or CCing, like what?
I would send one-to-one and not CCing, but you can install an email tracking device. This is a golden tip I tell all of our students, is install an email tracking device so that you can see if the journalist is opening your email or not. And so you don't make a huge drama about, oh, the journalist hates me. It's like, well, maybe they just never opened it. So install an email tracking device. You'll get analytics on whether or not it's being opened. And I like to follow up once a week for 3 weeks. And the follow-up is not, hey, just bumping this up, right? Refresh your angles. Like, hey, we just sold out of this product and now this one is really popular. Or, oh, hey, the season finale of White Lotus just aired and people are doing this trend or that trend. So try to see how you can refresh your angles. The news cycle is always evolving, right? Like after Valentine's Day, if the journalist didn't respond to you, now we're moving into spring. So you can do something for spring. So there's always an opportunity available for you.
Yeah. And so I think that's one of the reasons that I'm curious to hear if you'd agree that if it's, say a small team who cannot do a ton of, like different things, they don't have someone who's just focused on PR. I think it's typical that a lot of brands can get overwhelmed by thinking about having to like upkeep the outreach and all that stuff. But I love that you like are taking a refreshed view of like, okay, just think about like one trend. And then your follow-up, say like the second follow-up that you have can be White Lotus season 2 or season 3 just premiered. And this is a new trend, right? Like I think thinking about it in terms of, okay, updating one thing, but for everyone and seeing, obviously whoever you just emailed, if that works for everyone, rather than having to personalize to each individual send, I think that'll help, I guess, de-stress some of the brands who are like, I would love to be on these gift guides. Like our product works so well with gift guides. But I just can't like find the time or find the resources to do that.
Yeah. I mean, if you have a good solid pitch, you can just use that and then repurpose it for Mother's Day or Earth Day, but you have to start with a good foundation of a pitch. I think you can create a system around it just like you do with social media, because it probably gets you even more higher ROI. If you can keep planting the seeds of getting featured, that gets you the SEO. And I would rather turn a press feature or a podcast interview to 20 pieces of content than start from scratch on Instagram Reels, which doesn't get me any views anymore. So
yes. Yep. Totally makes sense. So that feeds nicely into attribution. So I want to go there of like tracking, leads that you're getting so that you can justify, or even just know like internally, like, oh, we're getting a ton of leads from this article versus maybe not any from this other article. Like for next season, next product rollout, let's hone in all of our efforts here. How do you recommend to your clients of like, okay, this is how you actually start to understand what is happening from those PR articles once you get them?
We're definitely going to see an uptick in your SEO, right? Because we know that Google is prioritizing backlinks from authoritative websites and not so much the AI generated blogs. Now anyone can write 60 blogs in a day. So what is Google saying that marks you as a reputable brand? Whether or not you have backlinks. And so the PR opportunities are huge determination for SEO scores. So you should be able to see that. And also you can add a UTM link for whatever gift guide. And so you can track the clicks if they'll allow you. And also if you have an affiliate link, you'll see like which sales come from that magazine article. So if you do have an affiliate link, do share that with the journalist.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. I think most brands will have affiliate links set up so they can do that quite easily. So, okay. So we've gone through formula for actually templatizing your outreach, and then who do you actually send it to? And so is there like any other steps after, say, you get an email from a journalist and they say, yes, go ahead, we're going to greenlight it, we're going to include you in that article? What is like continuing that relationship look like? All that more like, check it off the box, we got their attention, now what do you do?
Yeah, I mean, you can also say like, thank you so much. Do you know anyone else this would be a great fit for? Right. And then just like they'll refer you to other people. And also how they say like the best way to find a job is to already be in a job. Same thing with PR. Like if you already have a feature, put that in your next pitch, already featured in XYZ. That's only going to help you. And then you can put that in your email newsletter to your customers, right? It's a stamp of approval that will get the customer to feel like, I really need to pay attention to this. Think about it, right? As opposed to you telling me more about your benefits and features, you say, we're featured in Well and Good's 10 best baby products. Like that is like 10 times more powerful than any Instagram reel you could make. So there's so many ways that you can kind of repurpose that. And it's still going to collect that ROI from SEO because again, it's unlike an Instagram reel, it doesn't expire in 24 hours. So it's a compounding snowball effect that is the reason why I think PR is one of the most important marketing activities a founder can do. It just hasn't been made accessible until now.
Yeah. And I love your passion for it. Like I can see it coming through, the screen and the microphone. And I think a lot of founders will hear that because I totally agree with you that it's kind of not been like a lost channel, but totally gate kept of like, okay, that's when you like, quote unquote, make it big, right? It's like when naturally people just start to feature you in these, in these bigger gift guides or articles or XYZ. And so I love your viewpoint of like, no, you can do it. It can be successful and it can really drive really, really strong revenue back to your brand and help with SEO, all that fun stuff. And so I want to ask you in terms of SEO, and because you already brought up like Perplexity and, anyone can write SEO pages at like an incredible pace nowadays. Do you see AI or PR being influenced by AI? Yeah, I would love to hear your opinion on that before switching more into like the retention side of things.
Well, with AI search engines now, your PR features will be scraped from that, right? So if I'm asking ChatGPT about you now, any of your PR articles will show up there. So it's part of the whole thinking brain of it telling you about your information. So just like we're now using ChatGPT as a search engine, or press features will show up as it kind of synthesizes an answer for whether or not you're a reputable brand. And also with AI, AI is a great tool as well. I know I talked about Perplexity in terms of us doing our own PR features. I wouldn't start with AI to write the pitch because, journalists can tell right away. And, obviously I teach the CPR method, but it's great for follow-up. Like, honestly, you can use that to follow up. You can say, hey, here's the pitch that I wrote, after watching Gloria's Masterclass, I want to follow up because it's spring, and it could definitely help you repurpose that foundational pitch into something else.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so let's switch into more the retention side of things. So we've been talking about obviously how do you get a journalist's attention to make sure that you can get a PR channel for your business. And so I'd love to hear your opinion on how you think PR helps retention, because you already said, right, obviously credibility, that's a huge, huge thing for customers to know like, whoa, this name that I know, they recommended the product that I already have. So yeah, walk me through like how you think about PR and retention in that relationship.
I think it's just like once I make a purchase, if I see that it keeps getting awards, it makes me feel like, oh, I got in early, like I got
early
an
adopter. Yep.
Or I discovered something before everyone else did. And so it kind of has that exclusivity. And it's a great way to email your customers to keep them updated on what you're doing and how, you're so committed to your brand that you're pitching it. So it's only going to validate my purchase decision even more.
Yeah. I love it. And is there anything, because I'm thinking through like, okay, PR, also celebrity lists. Like I feel like that's like another channel of PR, or like influencer credibility. Is there like any differences there, or do you think, you'd have kind of the same outreach for like more the influencer, their recommended products, as opposed to like if you're sending this to a journalist? Do you like distinguish that at all?
Yeah. So the thing with influencers is that it's kind of a wild, wild west. So the threshold of what makes an influencer, I don't know, right? And so a lot of people, they'll tell me that they have worked with influencers who now like their account got blocked and so they're no longer there, or influencers who are pretending to be journalists and they want you to send a lot of free products. So just be careful. Again, it's not regulated. Whereas like we know that if someone's writing for a reputable outlet, right, they're bound by the code of ethics. So I don't work with a lot of influencers, but it's unregulated. So you really have to vet them carefully. That's just really my own advice.
Yeah, I think that's great. We haven't really had anyone on the show who kind of delineates between like, having a backed institution where like a journalist is writing, and has again, this whole episode's about credibility, right? Like that journalist has that credibility from the institution that they're writing for or the outlet that they're writing for versus a influencer. It is not, they're not going to have that same backing or same, it's just it's a newer industry, so it's more, like you said, it's not as
Yeah, not
regulated.
to say it doesn't work, right? But I don't know. It's you have to weigh it against what they're charging and what you think the ROI is. So just like with ads, it's really up to you to make that discernment.
Yeah. And it can be a lot of murky water, right? Of just like trying to do all the things, which I know brand founders will feel to their max of because they're always trying to do so many things. So I want this just popped into my brain, but if you had, is there anything that like you remember either when you were getting started in this industry of like, holy shit, like we just did it. Like when did you kind of crack that code of, having a formula or like, is there something that's really memorable of like, oh my God, we just got like this client featured in this, gift guide or anything like that?
I have people who get featured all the time just watching my free PR training, and I get DMs from companies from all around the world and say, I watched your method. I looked, I started following journalists. I sent them, pitch using a CPR, right? We got in Canadian Vogue, or we got on BuzzFeed, we got in Oprah's Favorite Things. And these people are very small businesses. They don't have a lot of followers. They don't have a budget to work with influencers. And so it makes me really happy that people get featured. Like every single week, we have people like DMing us. We have people, in our program. And another thing that I'm doing now is, which is a trick for all of you listening, is a lot of writers now are sharing exactly what they're covering that week on their Substack, which is their private blog, right? And a lot of freelance writers who write products, it's a gold mine of information. So follow journalists and writers on Substack. They will literally tell you, here's what I'm working on this week. Here's exactly when the deadline is and exactly what to put in the subject line. And it's just a matter of like responding to it. We got people like I sent one of these opportunities to one of our PR members and got featured in 24 hours. So use Substack. It is an
Wow.
absolute gold mine. Another pro tip is sign up for sourceofsources.com, which is kind of like a new Haro, and it'll ping you 3 times a day with up to 25 different journalist inquiries of, hey, I'm looking to feature this or I'm looking for this. So it's not all going to fit what you're doing. Like sometimes you're looking for financial experts, real estate experts. But like just today, I got one that was like, hey, I'm writing a gift guide for, moms, whatever.com, or I'm writing a gift or, like an Easter thing, or I'm featuring products and for Hello Gorgeous. And so that's also a really good grassroots way of you to start to just get featured right away without paying. And that's always good, right? Because it's just about what takes you 5 minutes to respond, but then you get featured. So the upside of that is just so tremendous.
Yeah, I love that you're calling out like specific platforms or ways to do that. I think is Quoted. Are you familiar with
Yeah,
that
so quoted
platform?
quoted is also good. I mean, they want you to pay and it's quite expensive, right? And
Yeah,
they'll
that's
give
what
you
I've
like
heard.
maybe a couple of free opportunities a day, but it's mainly a paid service and it's a couple $100 a month. Just it just depends on like what your budget is.
Yeah, and our audience and I think those that you also work with that probably not looking to pay for the platform to get those opportunities, especially when you say, Substack and
It just
source of
depends, right? I mean,
sources.
I've had people with great results with quoted too, but for some people, they don't have the budget. So, I mean, so try the free one, and if it works for you, then great. But that combined with the Substack, combined with the source of sources, watch my free masterclass. Like you are golden. You will definitely get featured.
Yes. Okay. I love it. And give a shout out to where people can find you for like all the resources that you're sharing. Cause I,
Yeah.
I know our audience is going to be interested.
Yeah, so my free masterclass, people have watched it, like I said, and got featured right away. I give you a screenshot of exactly a CPR pitch. I got someone featured 12 times. This person makes soap. It's not the most exciting product, right? And it's just regular soap, and it's a package free soap. And she got featured in like Martha Stewart Living and the Zoe Report, Apartment Therapy, and Condé Nast Traveler. So you can go to that and watch it for free at gloriachoupr.com/masterclass. That's Gloria choupr.com/masterclass. And if you DM me on Instagram, because I'm very active on Instagram, I share a lot of things at Gloria Chow PR. So I'm on Instagram, very active. If you DM me the word retention chronicles, I will give you an additional freebie so that you can get cracking on your pitch.
Okay, amazing. I love that you are like so on it and it is so impressive that you like are just able to be a wealth of information. I know there's so much in this episode. I'm like I can't even wait for our audience to hear this because I know that there's obviously we focus a lot on retention, but acquisition and retention are so closely paired together, as we've discussed today, that our audience is gonna, I feel like they're all gonna be like, oh my God, why am I not doing this already? And that is like the fun of being in this world, right? Is like being like, oh my God, that's such a good idea. And you were the first like PR person that we've had on the show. So I'm very, very grateful you made the time to share all of your knowledge with our audience. And it's been so great to have you here, Gloria. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. These conversations bring so much knowledge to the table, and I'm so grateful for that. If you haven't already, please subscribe, follow us on social media, and tell us who our next guest should be on our website. Let's give another shout out to our day one sponsor, Malomo. As you know, Malomo is an order tracking platform that enables Shopify brands to take control of their transactional email and SMS through branded order tracking pages. That means you can ditch those boring all white carrier pages. You know, the ones I'm talking about. Everyone has seen an ugly tracking page in their life, and you can swap it with a page that matches your brand. Customers like you and I obsessively check order tracking an average of 4.6 times per order. That's why leading Shopify brands are turning that engagement into customer loyalty and revenue through branded order tracking. Learn more about how to get ahead of shipping issues, brand your order tracking experience, and reconvert customers while they wait for their package to arrive with Malomo. Visit gomalomo.com. That's GOMALOMO.com.